everybody, it's Emily at ARG Schooling, and I thought I would do a little bit of a what I've read recently and what I'm currently reading kind of a video. So it's been a little while since I filmed anything. I just haven't been in a good headspace to be coherent in a video, but I think just to jump back in, I would do something relatively easy. So I'm going to talk about the last two books I read and talk through like what I'm currently reading right now. I've read two books this past week that I thought were worth chatting about. So the first book that I read was Wrath Becomes Her. This is by Aiden Polydoros. It just came out and I've been looking forward to it. I had the ARC, so I was reading the ARC before this arrived, and then I finished it after I got my final copy. But this book was something that I'd been really anticipating because it's a Golem story. You guys know I love reading Golem stories. It's like my favorite Jewish mythology to read about. I just find it really fun and entertaining, and this one in particular really just called out to me because this was a golem who was created to exact vengeance on Nazis. So like right away I was like, okay, we've got World War II, we've got Nazi killing golems, like I need that. This book definitely lived up to my expectations. It was so much fun. I love reading stories set during this period that are about Jewish resistance and like Jews fighting back, because I don't think we have enough of that kind of story. So the gist of this is that a man named Ezra's daughter, Chaya, was killed. She was a resistance fighter. She was killed by Nazis, and her father knows how to do the magic. He knows the method for creating a golem, but he also uses some kind of like sorcery to make the golem in Chaya's image. So the golem looks just like Chaya. She has some of her memories. So like she's throughout the story is grappling with like, I'm not Chaya, I'm Vera, but I feel like Chaya. I remember the things she remembers. I know the people she knows, that kind of thing. So he creates her, teaches her everything she needs to know to like go fight. And she has all this power, but she also wants to maintain her humanity. That's the thing I love about golems, honestly, is like they are these creatures who are built to kill. They are built to protect and will do so at any cost, but they also start to like become human and have these feelings and emotions, and I love that. I love a story about humanity and that sort of thing. So like that whole thing worked really well for me. I really liked the character of Vera and how she's grappling the whole book with like, what am I? What am I for? If I'm only for this murdering, like what does that mean? And like I love that. Love the relationships she has with the people around her who are also fighting. This also has like an interesting concept of like, what if the Nazis could create a golem? Which, that whole thing I found really interesting, and like how that would differ from what Vera is and that sort of thing. Loved it so much. I gave this like 4 3/4 stars. My real only complaint about this book was the pacing, because it's not very long, but it took me a while to like get the story going. But once the story gets going, I was all in. Yesterday, I ended up finishing My Lovely Wife by Samantha Downing. This was not on my original TBR, but like none of the thrillers that I had pulled were speaking to me. I needed to read a thriller because that is what I pulled out of my TBR jar. Thrillers are not my favorite, but I own many. But I'm still searching for the thriller that works for me. And this almost did. This was close, but not quite. The thing, and I should have known this going in, but one of the things I don't enjoy in most thrillers, especially domestic thrillers, is just like the marriage drama. does nothing for me, and I know this, and yet I was still convinced enough to purchase this book because I was intrigued by what I was hearing. I think Kayla is who really pushed this one. Kayla at Books and Lala talked about it and how much she loved it and enjoys this author's writing, so I bought this years and years ago, and I finally picked it up. It did what I wanted it to do in that it was a compulsively readable book. Like, I could not put it down. I ended up binging this over like the course of 3 days, and I read half of it yesterday. So like I read through the bulk of this book yesterday evening because I just wanted to be done and see how this is going to go. None of the twists really like surprised me. I kind of saw where this was going from the very beginning. So if you're looking for something that's super plot twisty, this is not it. This is a story about a husband who is enamored with his wife. He's enchanted by her. Millicent is this like gorgeous, amazing woman, which I never really got because she never came off that way to me. Like, I'm missing something, clearly. I don't know. But he's kind of obsessed with her. And she is demented. And so they like have this relationship where like he chooses a woman for her to murder. And that's like their kink, I guess. That's the thing they're into. But like the way this story unravels was interesting. I found the main character, the husband, whose name I cannot remember, even though I read this yesterday. That should say something. But like, he's so dumb. He's so stupid. And I get, love makes you blind, love makes you do the wacky, whatever, but come on. So he and his wife, Millicent, have built this, like, perfect marriage. They have 2 perfect children. They live in a perfect neighborhood, in a perfect house. She's super into, like, controlling their lives. They're, like, not allowed to watch certain TV shows. They're not allowed to eat certain foods. And, like, they're just perfect. And, we watch as that all unravels throughout the course of this book. But, like, the decisions. I don't know. But I found the decision making to be incredibly dumb. The whole concept of everything they did in this story, and I'm not going to give anything away, but it's all just so, like, so stupid. So, I did not love this, but I didn't hate it. So I gave this like 3 3/4 stars. It's like almost a 4, but not quite a 4. And I'm giving it that purely because it was so readable. I could not stop. I was flying through this book because I was just so curious to where all of this was headed. And was I surprised by where it was headed? Not really. But I was in for the ride. I predicted most of it. I think there was only like one thing that I didn't like pick up on, but it wasn't like shocking. It was sort of like, yeah, that checks out. That is what she would do. So like, I don't know. Was it my favorite thriller I've read? No. Was it fun? Did I enjoy myself? Yes. So 3 3/4 stars. Okay, now let's talk about all of the things that I am currently reading. Let's start with Courage to Dream by Neil Shusterman. I don't know, almost halfway through this. This is a series of like short stories in graphic novel format, and it's about the Holocaust. This is a book where we are following characters who are in the midst of trauma and finding some little glimpse of hope, something that will give them a way to survive, a way to see that there's still a world outside, that kind of thing. So I'm enjoying it. It's nothing like ground shattering or anything like that, but I'm always on the lookout for new things in this specific genre, especially written by Jewish people. And so far, this is well done. I'm still reading the arc. I'm very excited to see what this looks like when it's finished. I imagine it'll be in color because the arcs are almost always, for graphic novels, in black and white. And like sometimes that can be a little hard to read. Like some of the pages are like really dark. So I'm excited to see this when it's finished. This comes out the very end of this month. I think it's comes out on Halloween. So I'm hoping to have my copy by then. But I'm liking it so far. This is a really great like introduction, and I really like how after each story there is a little section kind of talking about the history of what was happening. So like the first story is about some children who are hiding, and so there's a section after the story about real Jews who were saved or not by being hidden. And so yeah, it's interesting. I'm liking it. And the second story had a golem in it, so that was great. So like there's a section about Jews who escaped and that sort of thing. So like I like what he's doing here. I appreciate it. I think it's good so far. I'm gonna finish this up probably tomorrow, but I'm enjoying it. Today my goal is to finish this. I'm reading The Grip of It by Jack Gems. This was for my haunted house video I'm doing. So the project I'm currently working on is reading recommendations by Sadie Hartman in this book, 101 Horror Books to Read Before You're Murdered. I'm doing the haunted house stuff right now, so my current haunted house book is The Grip of It by Jack Gems, and oh my gosh, this is such a fun time. But again, why are people like, I get that in order to have a haunted house story, people have to make the dumb decision to move in to a house that is haunted. And the thing that blows my mind about this one is that they looked at the house, they both got weird vibes, they both went, this house is cheap for a reason, let's put an offer on it. And I'm just like, not what I would do, but okay, you do you. We gotta get you in the house to have the story. So I am currently about 100 pages in, which is, I don't know, almost halfway, and this is a wild ride. This book reads super fast because the chapters are really short. Things are weird. You cannot stop. It's compulsive. You need to keep going because you need to see where we're heading. Like, we have a lot of weird stuff happening. We have weird neighbors. We have mysterious bruising. Like, where are all these bruises coming from? I don't know. It's weird, right? We have rooms that are hidden behind other rooms, but like they're hidden to the point where it doesn't seem possible that there's a room there. Like, that's the other side of the wall. How could there be a room? But there is. And it's a really weird house. There's a lot of weird noises happening. Like, everyone who comes into this house is like, nah, this is not a good idea. You shouldn't stay here. And they're like, but it's our first house. We're gonna make it work. And I don't know what's wrong with people. I wouldn't have purchased it. Like, one of my hobbies, as most 40-somethings probably do, is to just like browse houses on real estate websites. I enjoy that. I like looking at houses, and when I see older houses, sometimes I'm like, you know, that house is haunted. I can just feel it looking at the pictures. I don't need to walk in. I just know there's something wrong with that house. So like, I don't understand the people who end up buying the houses in these books, but whatever. We need them to move in for the story. So I'm enjoying that. I haven't actually started this yet, but I already put it in my Goodreads, like I'm currently reading it. I haven't started it, but I will start it probably tomorrow. And that is Healer of the Water Monster by Brian Young. I've been trying to like force myself to start a lit bite because I have not done a lit bite in a while, and I keep saying I'm going to. Like, I had to take a little bit of a break from those when I was working on level 10, but that's done. And then I was like blasting through some updates on other like unit studies. So like I've had projects going, but I really need to write a lit bite. And like, I feel like this is the right one to do right now. Like, I've had this in my stack for a while, and I'm like, you know when's a good time to write this one is now. So I pulled the book out and like scheduled it out, and so like I have it ready to start. I just haven't started it yet. I can't even really tell you a whole lot about what this is because I haven't started it yet, but I know it's about a Navajo boy going to visit his grandmother, and like a water monster. Yeah, a holy being from the Navajo creation story, a water monster, needs his help. That's all I know. But I've been wanting to read this for ages. I've heard really good things about it. I love this cover so much. It just like, it's such an inviting cover, right? Like, I don't know. It looks very cozy. So I'm excited to start that very soon. Okay, I've been wanting to talk about this book because I've like posted that I'm reading it with my daughter, and I just want to throw a caveat out for people. So we are currently reading How to Survive a Horror Movie by Seth Grahame-Smith. Now, this is not for everybody. Do not pick this up to read with your younger children. It's not appropriate. My daughter's 14. She's seen a lot of horror movies at this point. She is really into horror, has been for a while now. And like, I keep trying to like pull back, like waiting until she's ready. But like, you know, at this point, she's fine. She's ready. She asks a lot of questions. We have a lot of discussion. This book I'm reading with her because she is super into the idea of creating her own horror, and she wants to make a movie. And she's really into slashers right now, and like, she wants to subvert the tropes and all of that kind of stuff. So like, we're reading this together to talk about it. We're reading it together because there's some inappropriate language in here. There's some like tropes and things that they talk about that that's why she wants to write her own, because she's offended that that's even a thing. Like, why would they do that? Specifically, like the idea that if you're an ugly or overweight person, that you're more likely to be killed off first, or if, you know, the black character always dies first, that kind of stuff. So we're reading this together. I don't necessarily recommend it to read with children though. Like, it's not a children's book. It's not for children. That's not its purpose. Is it a fun read? Yes. Is it literary? Not really. But because she's so into horror right now, and I wanted more ways to talk about it with her because she asks a lot of questions as we're watching. Like, currently, we're in the middle of watching Halloween movies. She watched Halloween 1 and Halloween 2. I think we're going to back up now and watch the Rob Zombie remakes because I think she would enjoy the backstory stuff in those, because she asked a lot of questions about like, why is Michael Myers like, why is he wearing a mask? Why would he do that? Why would he go after Laurie? La, la, la. And I'm like, all of this is explained better in Rob Zombie's movie. But like, she really wants to like see as many of these older slashers as possible. We've watched Friday the 13th, 1 and 2. And then she's like, that's enough of that. She's not really into that. She's seen all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. What else did we watch? She's seen Cabin in the Woods. We watched Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which I thought was really fun. That's one of my favorites. And she really enjoyed that. So like, we've been watching a lot of things, and this is something I'm using to like take it a step further so we can like talk more about the tropes that are used and like that kind of stuff. But I don't necessarily recommend this for everybody. Like, older teens, kids who are like teens who are really into horror, I think would find this enjoyable. But I recommend reading it with them, not just handing it off, because, you know, I think this is something that benefits from discussion. So we are reading this together. We are not that far in yet because we read it pretty slow because she asks a lot of questions. So like, we only just finished chapter 1, but the chapters in this are pretty long. So like, all of that is chapter 1. So it's pretty lengthy. So we're up to the slasher chapter now, and I think she's going to be into that. We're probably going to read that faster because she's going to want to get through it fast. So yeah, my 14-year-old is super into horror. Really likes the older stuff too. Like, I feel like she was meant to be born in the 80s. She loves all the older movies. Her favorite horror movie of all time is Silver Bullet. So like, yeah, super proud of that, honestly. I'm also reading Slayers, the Buffy Verse story. This book is so much fun. I'm not even thinking of it so much as a book. I almost forgot to include it because it doesn't feel like a book. It feels more like a radio drama. So the gist of this, it's written by Amber Benson, who played Tara, and Christopher Golden. And it's sort of like a radio play. where we have a new story in the Buffy verse, and it has a bunch of the old cast members like James Marsters, Charisma Carpenter, Juliet Landau, the actor who plays Clem, whose name I can never remember. It's delightful. I think Anthony Stewart Head is in it too, but I haven't gotten to him yet. Emma Caulfield, who plays Anya. The joy this is bringing, I'm trying so hard not to like binge it because I really want it to last. Like, I don't want it to end. So I'm reading it really slowly. I'm only 2 chapters in because it's a good listen. So yeah, the basic idea is picks up after season 7 with a whole, like, all the girls with the potential to be slayers are slayers now. And so we have that situation. So we have a new slayer, but we also have parallel universe slayers. So if you're into Buffy, you know that like there's all these like other worlds that other, you know, like in the Wish where like there's a world where Buffy doesn't exist in, or a world where Buffy doesn't ever come to Sunnydale. There's a world with no shrimp, although there's a world with nothing but shrimp. There's other worlds. So we have a world in which Cordelia was the one who was called as a slayer, and Buffy doesn't exist. So we have Cordelia as a slayer, which I love Cordelia. I'm so glad this is happening because like I've wanted redemption for Cordelia for ages, and I feel like this is her redemption, and it's great. So we have Slayer Cordelia coming to our normal Buffyverse to get Spike's help, because in her world, Drusilla is the big bad, and she needs help because in her world, Spike died, and when he died, Drusilla just kind of lost it completely, and now she's like the big bad. So she needs Spike to come back to her world and help defeat Drusilla. So we're gonna get Spike Drusilla togetherness, and I'm here for it. So I'm excited about this book, guys. I'm giddy. So I'm just trying really hard to like make it last. So, but it's great. So those are all the things that I am currently reading right now. Let me know down below what you are currently reading. I would love to hear about it. If you like this video and you want to see more, please remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, you know, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.